Hello. I thought I'd do a little discussion around what I'm calling friendly ER at the moment. It's like the working title. It's not the title. I've come up with another title, but I'm not going to share it just yet. On the screen it says Little Black Book. That was another thing I was playing with. But I thought I'd do a little thing talking about some of the history behind this and how I've been developing it. Because I've had a few problems that I've had to work out along the way. So first thing first, I think my screen is sometimes freezing at the moment. So before it does that, let's just quickly look at this. So, you've got your settings. You can connect. You can connect Dropbox at the moment. You can create a new what I call repo at the moment, but it'll probably become a different word. And that's what these are. These two things here: Test Journal 2 and Journal. So if I go into Test Journal 2, I can start a call. I can tell it to give me some discussion back or active discussion, or be quite neutral or challenging, and then I can start the call. It's not going to work very well because I don't have my headphones connected, so it's going to get a bit confused.
No worries.
It's quiet though, so it's not doing that. But so I can stop that. I can go in, change the settings, and there are more settings here that I can change in terms of how it summarizes and transcribes everything. And then you can set up different repos to do different things. So they connect to different folders on Dropbox in this case. And then that last button is just the database mainly for me to test stuff. So I can see this is the conversation I just recorded. So this is the transcript it just created. And these are the summaries that it's just created based on that. Then down the bottom, we've got this speakerphone button. So if I click speakerphone, turn speakerphone on. If I click it, turns it off. When I connect Bluetooth headphones, another button appears here to turn on the connection to the headphones or not. So that's still a work in progress. All of these are still a work in progress. But it very much relates to some of the troubles I've had with building this. So this is a React Native app. And there are a few different ways that the AI services at the moment connect to a front-end streamed voice-enabled app. One is WebSockets. So it's usually they support WebSockets. One is WebRTC, and that's generally the kind of go-to, the thing they suggest you do. And then you can do calls in the back end to kind of convert text to speech and things like that, but they're just more standard REST APIs. So at first I started to use 11 Labs because it has a very good voice, and actually its transcription is way better when you speak to it and it speaks back to you. It sends you back information about what you said to it and what it said to you as text, and it's perfect because I think the model is combined in one. So the same model that's doing the transcription is the same model that is listening to you. But in OpenAI, the transcription is done by a different model. So the voice can understand you perfectly, but when you get the transcription back, it can be completely wrong, and it's often completely wrong. I think mainly because it doesn't have enough context to figure out what you were saying because it's been sent a snippet, probably. So I wanted to use 11 Labs first. One drawback to that was I think it's way more expensive, but that's just on the kind of lower tiers. If I release this and I get it to a higher usage rate, then I think that cost becomes much more comparable. But mainly they built this cool demonstration of using WebRTC, and they made it work in a way that used DOM elements in React. And that meant that I couldn't easily access some of the hardware ability to like run the audio in the background when the app is pushed into the background, things like that. So I found that difficult. So I started working with WebSockets with 11 Labs. And that was super difficult. I went around in circles with AI trying to get that to work. So it became really difficult because you got to take those binary chunks and then you've got to convert it to the right format with the right kind of byte array settings, and then it ended up that I needed to save it to the hard drive of the phone and then queue it up with React Track Player. I couldn't quite get it to work. I couldn't get it to work with Expo Audio or Expo AV yet. And then you play those chunks in order, but then sometimes the chunks arrive out of order. So then you've got to monitor the order number or the ID number and reorder them quickly. And then you still have a gap between chunks that is very difficult to get rid of. And that caused me to go, what am I doing? I need to go and figure this out, figure out how to get it working with WebRTC. So that was a pain in the butt. But I couldn't use their original WebRTC thing because it worked with the DOM components. So it didn't allow me the hardware control. So I have now jumped back on OpenAI, and I might jump back on 11 Labs in the future. But for now, I'm on OpenAI, and I've taken the WebRTC approach, but that's been very difficult as well because WebRTC, for some reason in the standard or in the implementation that is in there, at least on the iPhone, as soon as it starts, it takes over control of what audio output device it is chosen. So you can use like the Expo audio settings, and I don't think they're quite made to do this, but you can do some things that kind of tell it, or use speakerphone, or use Bluetooth, or use the in-ear earpiece. But WebRTC will just periodically just change it to what it thinks it should change it to, or at least at the very start. I'm not sure if it periodically does it, but so, and there was no control to do that. So I went around in circles with the AI trying to solve this, and the problem is AI doesn't really know how to solve this, so it makes up all this stuff and sends you in circles. Because it's not, I don't think it's a very common thing that people have done, so it's not well documented online. So eventually I started to understand enough of how things were working that I was able to tell AI, no, don't go down this path, do this for me, let's approach it another way. And one of the things that I might have done in the past is I'll try and solve everything with React Native so that it is all in that same environment and supports multiple environments. But AI gives me the ability to go, actually, I don't necessarily need to do that. And Expo gives me a way to build native modules. So this seems like a problem that is far more easily solved in native. So I thought, I'm just going to tell Cursor, my AI, to build a native module that can act as a bridge to fix this issue for me. So that's what I did, and we got it working. So now React Native starts the WebRTC thing, and then just before it does, it tells the native module to start an active WebRTC session. That means that it now reports back the correct output audio devices that it has available, and I can tell it to use a specific one. I then start the WebRTC through React and then React Native, and then whenever I want to change that, so whenever I want to turn on speakerphone like you see on the screen there, or switch from Bluetooth to in-ear, or detect that Bluetooth has connected and then auto turn on Bluetooth to use as the audio output device, then I'm using React calls to send a message to the native module and tell it to do that for me. And it talks to that WebRTC session, checks the devices and changes that output device. Now that's not working that is working perfectly so far in iOS. I haven't tested it in Android yet, but it is working perfectly to change the audio devices, which is amazing. I'm still working on a little bit in terms of detecting when Bluetooth disconnects a bit easier, a bit clearer, so that the button can disappear and not give you that option. But I've gone through a journey to get this working, and now it's almost working really well. Um, and I know how to do WebRTC through React Native, which is really handy, and that's going to lead to me building a bunch of other apps, I think, as well. I've got one in mind that I want to pursue, but this is going really well, and that's just some technical background that has gone into this to get this working how it has. I think the next step is to build in those extra voices in here so that I can really kind of make good use of it. Then probably get it onto Android so that I can give it to a couple of friends and family to try out. And then also solve that transcription issue with OpenAI, which I have done a little bit in a work project, not perfectly, but there are some avenues there that I can try to get some better transcriptions. So that's it. I just wanted to have a technical one where I talk you through some of the background of the work that's gone through this to get this to everyone. Thanks. See ya.